Same shirt, different day. So this next part, so I've kind of talked about how when I started saying no and what kind of got me there was that I was so filled with resentment. I was not enjoying my time and I wanted to like not be such a crabby person all the time. And the other thing that I had mentioned in a few posts back is that I started to see the mask fall. I started to not see them in the absolute perfection, perfect people, like absolute amazing people. That mask started to slip. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. It's now fall of 2018 and my mother-in-law's 94, 93, 92, in her 90s definitely, year-old mother is dying. She's in hospice, so we visit a couple times. Here's where I'm aware that I sound bitter here, but it just was such a buildup of always feeling like that I was the one being like shat on for not doing enough. But where I'm going with this is Chicago oldest sister-in-law didn't come. Middle Seattle sister-in-law isn't coming, but we're being asked to, oh, it's grandma's final days. Can you be there? So we're there for a few of the days. On a September 2018 Sunday, we decide that sure, we're going to use our Sunday to drive up to Minneapolis and be with grandma in what might be her last days. There with grandma, my mother-in-law's father is there around the bedside, as are the aunt and uncle. So this is the brother of my mother-in-law. Again, she has two brothers. I don't know why I always need to rub this in, but she has two brothers. The red flag didn't hit me, that the fact that she was estranged with one of them. But anyway, she still talks to her youngest brother. He was there as well as his wife, both of who I have a good relationship with. We even took our daughters up. We took along some coloring books, some things to kind of keep them busy while we just were kind of at her bedside in her last days. Turns out it started really looking like it actually really was her last day. And so when she started showing the signs of final distress, end of life, my mother-in-law asked me if I would sing to her. If you haven't caught on yet, grew up very conservative Christian, and I know how to sing, which you've maybe also seen at this point, and I know a lot of hymns. So I started singing, and I considered I'm very honored to have been singing in my mother-in-law's mother, my husband's grandma. Very honored to be singing to her as she passed. A very profound, beautiful experience. But that's not all. I think I've referred in a last post when I kind of would briefly talk about this stuff or refer back to it, that I specifically remember how much my mother-in-law loved me at that moment in time. I could feel it coming off of her in waves, whether I'm an empath, whether I'm highly attuned. I don't know. We don't have to go there. But she loved me. She loved me, and in that moment, she wrapped me in a hug. And after we knew that grandma was gone, she wrapped me in a hug and just sobbed her thanks that I had done that. And I remember thinking, she finally loves me. My mother-in-law finally loves me. It took singing her mom into whatever heaven or afterlife, whatever it took, my mother-in-law finally loves me. Yes. New beginnings, maybe new beginnings await. Okay, my memory doesn't go that far, but I do remember thinking my mother-in-law, oh my gosh, maybe she finally loves me. So I can't remember really the timing here. I think it was maybe a month then until the funeral, so that people could fly into town, so that plans could be made. But at some point, my mother-in-law asked me if I would play the piano and sing at the funeral. And I was, totally sucked into I will do whatever you want at this point. If playing the piano and singing at the funeral, sure. Absolutely. Yep, I'll do it. Very quickly, though, it became really bizarre. This is something I do wish that I had screenshots of and emails of, so that I could document / show you guys the amount of times that she switched the songs. It wasn't just daily. Multiple times daily, she was switching up the songs, to the point that we got, the day before the funeral, she was still switching the songs. Now that I know what I know, in retrospect, I think that she was trying to set me up for failure. A lot of this I was just going to do by sound. I have a gift that I'm very thankful for, that I can listen to a song a few times and then I can relatively play it. And so, for example, she wanted me to play Bridge Over Troubled Water. That's a semi-difficult song to play. I didn't have sheet music for it. And so what I'm getting at is that why I think she kind of was essentially, maybe, I don't know, what do you think? Trying to set me up for failure. Like I said, it wasn't even just day to day changing the songs. Multiple times daily, we were changing the songs. And so, I don't know. Do you think I have the right interpretation there? At the time, it seemed so bizarre. It was like, why can't she just sit down, think about what she wants the songs to be, and then just let me know and I'll work on them? Another weird aspect to the constant song changing was in her text, she started doing things like, the one I specifically remember was, follow my lead. If Aunt, so her brother and the wife, she was kind of inferring that they were arguing with her over the songs that there were going to be. So she kept being like, if someone asks you to play something separately, don't do it. Follow my lead was absolutely one. And I can't remember if the aunt eventually reached out to me or if I reached out to her, because again, we have a pretty good relationship. I can't remember that dynamic, but there was a point where I said to her, gosh, I'm really being pressured by Janine about, oh yeah, I already said my mother-in-law's names, whatever. I'm really being pressured by her to do specific songs. And I think I got to the point that like, are you guys fighting about songs? Like, I really don't want to be in the middle. Someone just figure out the songs and tell me, the sooner the better, because I'm literally playing these without sheet music. Like I'm just playing them. And the aunt was like, no, none of that's going on. Like the husband, so the brother of my mother-in-law, the son of the woman who died, would really like Bridge Over Troubled Waters to be one of them. But other than that, we don't care. And so then I remember saying to my husband, like, it's such a weird, what's going on then? Like, why is your mom doing all of this? I would show him the texts and he would agree that this is bizarre. I can't believe how many texts a day she's sending you about, have you gotten that? So have you done that one yet? Well, now I'd like to switch to this. It just got really insane. So the day arrived, and this is another, in retrospect, I maybe just, this might be too, I like your opinions. Let me know what you think. Now, a part of me is like, I did feel very separate from the family, the family, my husband, my children, the daughters, the families, they're all sitting in the front 2 rows and I'm at the back of the church in the corner on the piano. And so at the time, and maybe that's still how it was meant to be, it felt like somewhat of an honor. I sang to this, I was in her ear as she died. And if this makes my mother-in-law happy for me to be on the piano and singing, whatever, I'll do it. But now later, it wasn't actually until last night as I kind of anticipated, trying to get my mindset on talking about this, that I was like, gosh, I was very separated. Like, I wonder what mattered more, the fact that she was giving me the honor of being the pianist, the singer, or if she just didn't want me up in the benches with them. I don't know. So one more piece here, and I'm going to run out of time. I'll do it in the next one. I believe I've also alluded or mentioned this in a past video as well. So the funeral is happening and I'm following along in the agenda itinerary. I'm drawing a blank there. And there's a part where she stands up in the front of the sanctuary area, and I can't remember her exact words, but in front of everyone, silence, because it's a funeral, she says, Bethy, again, I can't remember the exact words, but that I had messed up, that I was playing in the wrong place, and it's dead silence. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I've been following to the absolute, like, I'm the performer. You really make sure that you go on or off at the right time. And so it was just this heart-dropping moment of, I've let her down. Oh my gosh, like, what have I? And then I can't remember again, like, whether someone said it or her husband. I think in my head I'm recalling my father-in-law, like, be like, no, she's not. She's not out of order. Like, sit down. But that too, as I process that, later, it's like, it was her, I don't know. I don't know whether to say, well, it was her, you would think she'd be following along. Was she doing that just to like, would she do something like that just to throw me off and make me feel like I did in a funeral? Would she really use her own mother's funeral as a vehicle to further terrorize me like that? I can't imagine. I can't imagine she would do that. But I just don't understand how else she would have gotten so, you know, the itinerary was so like this song happened and then this person spoke and this person. And so I guess a part of me is saying, I don't know how she would have messed up where we were. At the same time, I go back to, I can't imagine she would just use her own mother's funeral as a vehicle to continue to terrorize her daughter-in-law after I'm trying to do something for her. Anyway, weird. Around this event, around this funeral is when I started experiencing what I've spoken about in other posts. I started experiencing just sudden, extreme pain. To the point that I went to an orthopedic center that specializes in that in Minneapolis because out of, you know, just suddenly I was just waking up in the night to intense pain. It was radiating down my arms, up my neck, down into my back. So it's not like I was in a car accident. I didn't fall while I was working on my crazy yard. You know, when I was working out, nothing happened. And so suddenly there's this phantom intense pain that I am experiencing and that would continue for the next almost 4 years. Real quick, you don't have to let me know that you are unfollowing me. In the last couple days, I've had a few comments of people saying that for whatever reason, they don't want to follow me anymore. And no offense taken. That is totally fine. I completely understand. I never set out on this journey to get followers. I've never done the little arrow pointing to the follow. I don't think I've ever said literally follow me. I set off on this journey just to talk about it. And so you telling me that you're unfollowing me is kind of like you telling me you're leaving the party that I didn't invite you to. Second, it's not doing you any favors to comment on my stuff when you don't like it. I'm just going to continue to show up in your feed. So that's kind of another reason that I encourage you to really, you don't have to say those things. As for your reasons for unfollowing, some are just that you can't imagine, you know, that I'm not giving the insight of my in-laws, and you just can't imagine that many people would be ganging up on one person. Someone else just is saying that it's getting long, it's getting old, it's never ending. Trust me, I get it. I lived it. I am living it. I endured it for 16 years. Many times I thought the former, that something must be wrong with me. There's no way that this many people would gang up on one person. And the latter, it felt never ending. By the time that I finally went no contact, I thought I was going to die. I literally thought I was going to die a young death because of it. If you're sticking around, thanks for being here. I do genuinely love the support. There's not a day goes by that I cannot believe the amount of support and followers that I have, simply because I've lived the life that I've told so many of you, if you're a follower, about. I just can't believe that anyone wants to listen to what I have to say. So if you are a supporter, thanks for being here. But again, if you ever want to unfollow, I totally get it. I unfollow people too sometimes, and I don't say anything about it. I just click it's so easy. TikTok makes it so easy. Thanks. Have a good day.